I'll never forget going on the deployment in the Philippines. We were building schools literally for kids. You go over there in these really rural parts and there's literally a concrete slab and like nothing. People on the other side of the world, dude, they don't even know they're gonna eat.
Crypto's in a weird spot right now with like FTX just happened. Kevin O'Leary recently just started going after and saying, hey, Binance, you're actually the ones at fault. FTX is innocent in this. And I think regulation is obviously important because the stuff that happened right now with people losing, like I have a friend that lost $1 million worth of crypto.
We're living in a world and a culture where everything's so fake. You know, you got the gurus with pictures on the jet that's parked on the tarmac and you pay $500 to go in there and take a photo for 20 minutes. You know, like that shit exists.
Welcome to the DV podcast, where we talk about business, entrepreneurship, success, and how you can become the best version of yourself. On today's episode, we're talking with Douglas James. He's an agency owner, a marketer, and he's built a phenomenal business with over 100 employees. This is an amazing episode, a lot of tactical information inside of it. I hope you guys enjoy. Dude, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me. We're here right now.
Yeah, we got about a day and a half together, and last night was interesting. You ended up, so we played credit card roulette.
Yeah.
For the tab. It was like a $2,000 bill. And I always thought winning credit card roulette meant that the other person pays.
Yeah.
But you won and you ended up paying.
And I was excited about it.
Yeah, no, dude, I loved it.
Because I love taking care of my friends. I love picking up the check. It's just been like my thing, dude. You know, like it's not a big deal.
Is it always your thing? Like you care about people a lot and that's been your modus operandi your whole life?
I mean, look, I don't want to get into quoting authors or anything, but I remember, I was in the Navy. When I first started my journey as an entrepreneur, I remember picking up a book and reading a quote from Zig Ziglar that says, if you can help other people get what they want, you can have all you want in life. So I've literally led my whole life like that, from the military, from excelling in my career to as an entrepreneur and leading my team and building the culture we have. And I just like to take care of people because I feel like if I take care of you, you're gonna have a good time, you're gonna be appreciative, and you're gonna come full circle, and if I need something later, you're gonna take care of me. Or you're not, and then I just realize that, and you're a dirtbag, and I just never do anything for you again, right? So that's just the way it works.
It's actually interesting. It's like when I've added value to other people, it's like a filtering mechanism. Like I'm not keeping score, but I am like understanding like, hey, is this person going to like internalize, hey, look, I added value, and like look for ways to reciprocate, or are they gonna like use, and just like be like a vampire and suck you dry?
Yeah, dude, you got to be out for that. I've been learning a lot from Joe Polish as well. He just wrote a book called "What's in it for them," right? It's always going to be about like what's in it for the other individual. Like you go to a networking event and you go to a room, right? You're meeting people, you're mingling, and you're like, okay, who's doing 8-9 figures here? Who's in the real estate industry? Who can help me get to X, Y, Z, right? Selfishly, you want to do that to make those connections, right? But you also want to keep in mind what can you do for the other individual? Because if you're just a taker all the time, you go to these events, like you can feel that. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody's taking, it's really bad energy. It's toxic, so you push those people away, right? So I've just been very mindful of that as I'm kind of progressing as an entrepreneur, right?
So yeah, dude, right now you're, I would say incredibly successful. You have a business that's crushing it. But like take me back, like we'll work our way here, but take me back, like, dude, Douglas, like 16-year-old Douglas in high school, like who is that guy?
That dude we were just talking about, I was asking your boy over here, like, is it, are you like is it cool to be fat guy, or like, am I healthy being fat, or can I lose weight, right? I mean, for me, dude, like I was overweight kid, picked on, 250 pounds at like 5'8", like imagine that, right? So I was super overweight, and at 16 years old, my first job basically was, working at Winn-Dixie. Pushing golf carts, like being the buggy boy, right? So that was my first job.
A grocery store, is that?
Yeah, it's a grocery store.
Okay.
Like, so if anybody's from like the South, right, you know what like Winn-Dixie is. I think Kroger is like big in the Mid-East or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I was a buggy boy, and yeah, I mean, like I was overweight because basically growing up, my family, we lived off like McDonald's, fast food. We didn't have a lot of money and resources and stuff. My mom was successful in her career as a respiratory therapist, making great money, but unfortunately, because of my, a father with like making really bad decisions, right, running around gambling, drugs, alcohol, what God knows what he was doing. We ended up going into debt actually when I was around, into bankruptcy when I was like 16. So we were on the street, right? So it got that bad. My uncle and my grandmother had to step in to kind of like help us out, get on our feet, thank God, right? And I think my dad's learned a lot of lessons from this as well. But yeah, at 16, you see, your father making really bad decisions. You're seeing how he's dealing with money, not respecting money, so money's not respecting him, right? Eating fast food all the time, gaining weight, being overweight. And I'm starting to think like all these things are like okay. Like it's okay to disrespect money, to eat fast food all the time and not give a damn what you look like, right? So, I mean, when I was 16, I think I was kind of like in a dark place, but I was also in a place where I was starting to become my own man and starting to see these different things going on and start to realize like, wait, this doesn't feel right. Like something felt off, right? So I started to use like my own wisdom and say, I want to make a change. So yeah, after 16, I started to, get into weightlifting. I started to run, got into high school, joined ROTC, started running track, right? Played a little ball as well. Really no entrepreneurial mind at all. It was just like everyone has jobs, everyone's going to college, everyone's working for the man and they're paying taxes and they're doing all this. So like I thought that was going to be my life for the rest of my life in high school. So that's what I did.
Did you have like instinctual ambition? Like were you like, hey, I want to be rich or I want to be like, no one one day? Or did that just come through time?
This is the moment that I decided that I was going to be wealthy one day. I'm not saying I'm wealthy today. I have a long way to go. Obviously we're doing well, but I think I was 25, 26 years old, and I remember seeing a guy driving a Ferrari. And when you're that age and you're not exposed to people or family or whatever talking about business all the time and making moves, buying real estate and all this stuff, you just think like let's get a job and this is how we become wealthy. You save money, you buy a house, and that's wealth. But then I was like, well, where does a Ferrari fit in that? So I see this guy coming down the street in a Ferrari and he's like 60 years old. He's in his 60s, right? And it's like, fuck, man, I don't want to, if that's wealth, like I don't want to be 60 driving a Ferrari. I want to be like 30. Like why not have that stuff now? And I'm 35 now and I realize like having a Ferrari is not wealth. Like I rented a Lambo last week for 7 days. It was like 10 grand. Anybody can rent a Lambo, but I don't own a Lambo, right? So at that moment, it's like I realize I want to do something now as early as possible so that when in my young age and experience life and enjoy these fruits of this labor and get into something where I can experience wealth and not wait until I'm this retired age, right? So that was like a thing that went off in my head. So at 25, 26, that's when I really started to think a lot differently. In that time I was in the Navy and I went on to a deployment as well that really shifted my thinking as well.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, so I was in the Navy for 10 years, right, as a hospital corpsman. In late 2014, early 2015, about 8 years ago, I rogered up for a deployment on the USNS Mercy, which is a massive hospital ship. There's 2 Navy ships in the United States Navy. This one's based out of San Diego, and we went to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and the Philippines. We also visited, Vietnam. But the whole mission of the trip was to go do good in the world. So we're going to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and Philippines. We're going there to render aid. We set up satellite clinics. We took patients in. We built schools for kids, which was freaking amazing, dude. So my job on that deployment when I went out to these countries was I was the corpsman. So the CB unit, the CBs are basically the construction workers of the Navy. So they can like put up a building like in a week, right? So in the Philippines, we were building schools literally for kids, soccer field, you go over there in these really rural parts and there's literally a concrete slab and like nothing. And they're living, like in Papua New Guinea, for example, living on little tiki huts, no shoes, right? When you travel the world, dude, you get such a different perspective of what it's like, right? I mean, we take for granted the fact that we have shoes on right now or sitting in your beautiful studio. People on the other side of the world, dude, they don't even know they're going to eat, And unfortunately, there's people in our country right now that they don't know if they're going to eat. But I'll never forget going on the deployment. And the last day before we went back to like Hawaii and then it was going to be San Diego, I was gone 9 months. We stopped in the Philippines. We were working there for about a month. And me and the CBs were walking, to the site where we built the schools. And we had boxes of crayons, boxes of literature, boxes of all the stuff for kids, dude. And as soon as we got there, it was hundreds of kids waiting for us, and they ran up to us, dude, hugged our leg, and they were just saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was like, for me, like that was the best work I've ever done as a human being to this point. So that's basically the point where I was like, I had just seen the guy in the Ferrari like a few months back before the deployment. I went on the deployment. I got capped to like E6, which it took me 5.5 years. The average person, it takes 12 years. So it's like this high level supervisory position rank. And I decided like that's when I was gonna figure out how can I give to people in need, not just with my time, but with my money. So I need to get my money right. I need to make more money. So that's why like we donate a lot to Pencils of Promise. So every like 25 grand we raise new school in Mexico. I love working with veterans. So RIP Medical, every dollar we raise, it eradicates $10 in military medical veteran debt. So, these are the types of organizations that I can give all I want with my time, but then like I can't make a big enough impact, right? So we talk about like the people that say, money can't buy happiness. Well, have you given enough away? I mean, shit, dude. Like for me to give away 25 grand and build a school for 50 kids in Mexico, like that's freaking insane. For hundreds of kids.
Right, yeah, 50 kids per year or whatever it is.
Continuing, right? It puts a smile on their face. They have a place to go learn. They're getting educated. They're protected from the elements. They have a roof over their head and they're learning. Like that's the kind of stuff that I want to do. So among other things, but that was like really you asked me the tipping point. It was like seeing the guy in the Ferrari, going on that deployment, and I was just like, let's go, let's figure this out.
So you were traveling with the Navy and you're seeing things and it opened your eyes up to, wow, there's like a lot of people that need help out there.
Yeah.
And you're like, but in order to actually help them, I need to have money. Like you can go build a school yourself, but like your impact is, your time and like that. But if you are able to build wealth, you're able to have an impact that can be much larger if it's organized wealth.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but not everyone like just has wealth. So like, what's the transition? Like, how can people get going and like start building wealth and become, I guess, be able to impact more people with that?
Yeah, man. I think it just goes back to creating your own economy, right? Like the bare bones. Like you can't help someone in need if you're not helping yourself first, right? So, if you're in a job or a career, right, and you're just dreading going to work every day, it's not what you want to do. Or maybe you're doing it because you got to put food on the table. It's the thing you got to do to take care of your kids. That's great. We're all have been in those positions where we got to do what we got to do so we can have food on the table. But eventually, dude, when you start to look at like macroeconomic conditions like recession and like inflation, you're losing 15% of dollars a year, 15% a year on your dollar. Like you start to realize like I need to do something because I'm basically going to go broke just because of these economic conditions, and I don't realize it. Like eventually, I hope this doesn't happen to anyone, but there may come a day where like you can't even buy a loaf of bread becomes like too expensive, right? We're going into a point where like it's becoming so hard to buy a home, it's turned into a renter's market, right? Like a $400,000 house, the mortgage on that was $1,700 a month. That's because of interest rates going up. That same home is now like $3,800 a month. Like, and that's most of the average person's paycheck right there in the United States. Average income is like 40 grand a year. So, so I think you just need to look at all these things and start to realize, you know what, I need to figure out how money works and create my own economy, because if not, I'm going to go broke, my family's going to be on the street, and I'm just going to be unhappy, and I think that's the first thing people start to need to realize. And, before they consider like starting a business or making any kind of investments, like understand what you're solving for. I talk a lot about that. Like if your goal is to spend more time with your kids, well, cool, set up a business or a cash flow in a way that you can spend more time with your kids so you're not working 50 hours a week in a business or career that you don't hate, right? So reverse engineer that. I like to turn everything into a math problem. So it's really just starting with the fundamentals first, understanding that and looking at your own behavior and understanding how you can be better and do better every day. So
the Navy took up a large part of your life. Like dude, almost a quarter of your life was in the Navy.
Yeah.
So far. So, knowing what you know now, like if you go back to like the day that you were signing up, would you be like, no, Douglas, like maybe you should choose this path instead, like go into entrepreneurship now?
Yeah.
Or do you think that you would still go through that same process?
Yeah, that's kind of like the magic question, right? Like everyone's like, so hindsight is finite, right? So I can look back, for example, let's talk about crypto for a second. You know, a lot of people learned about Bitcoin or crypto when Bitcoin was going from 20,000 per coin to 69,000 per coin, and they bought on that run up to 40 and 50,000, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to moon. You know, Bitcoin's going to be $1 million per coin, right? But then it crashes, right? And you know, Bitcoin goes down, and you think like this is the complete end of the world. And you were asking me just now about, remind me of the question.
Would you go back through the Navy, right? So like
Right. So hindsight's So hindsight is finite, right? So Bitcoin goes up to 69 grand. You buy it at 40, 50 grand. You think it's going to the moon. You might double your money in that time period, but then it crashes, and now you're living with the pain and regret of not selling when you were up, right? And now you're just sitting in the whole idea of like, shit, I should have sold, right? I should have sold, but that hindsight's finite. Like you got that, you had to go through that trial tribulation to get to the other side to learn what the right thing and wrong thing to do is, right? So you learn from that, and you'll be better next time. So when you ask me the question about, you know, would I have still gone to the Navy, or would I have gone to something else? Well, I'm honestly very happy, and you know, everything that's gone on in my life, it's brought me to meet you. It's brought me to do and see the amazing things that I've done so far. So I can't really say that I'll change anything. I can almost, you know, predict if I know what I know now when I was 19 years old, I'll probably be a multi-billionaire by now, right? That's probably most likely, but I think I'm on a path that, you know, God wants me to be on, or the universe, and I'm just fulfilling my destiny, whatever that is, and I'm just taking things as they come. Things are changing every day, so I'm always just trying to find like the most efficient path. But I would definitely 100% most likely do the Navy again, because the skills and training that you get in the military, you can't get anywhere else. I mean, we're talking about accountability, discipline, right? Taking ownership. You learn leadership as well. You don't get that anywhere else unless you go through the grind or learn what a bad leader is to figure out how to be a good leader. You know, so I think like everyone should at least be in the military for like at least 1 or 2 years, because you can't get the training really anywhere else unless you pay high dollar for it. So I would definitely do it again, and continue what I've been doing. You know, I wouldn't change anything about my past.
When we were talking last night, we're talking about like our companies and the org structures, and it was interesting because as you're describing the structure of your company, it became kind of clear that you're tying in a lot of elements of what you learned in the military.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you have your different points of command and the way that the communication flows through. So obviously what you learned there has tied into some of the business success.
Yeah, 100%. You know, to be successful in the military, you have to be a good marketer, right? You got to be a good marketer. Every single year you go up for an evaluation to go to the next rank. They make you take a test, a written test, a physical fitness test. They look at if you've gone to college, if you've had awards, have you volunteered. They look at all these different things, right? And for you to excel in your career, you got to check off all these boxes, right? And I was really good at checking all those boxes. And then they put me up. I did so well that they put me up for like Sale of the Quarter and even Sale of the Year. And to be Sale of the Year, I was selected in one command out of like 6,000 sailors at that command. It was me and literally 4 other people, right? So to be even like in that position and be selected for Sale of the Year is a really big deal, right? And what they do is you stand at attention on the outside of a room, and they call you in one by one. and you go in there,
And,
you
dude,
march.
and dude, I didn't know this till yesterday. So standing at attention, because I wasn't in the military. Like,
Yeah.
It's just like, and coming from Canada, like, dude, our military is a joke.
Yeah.
So, but it's where you're just standing, right? You're still,
standing at attention. Your feet are at about a 45-degree angle. The thumbs of your hands are at the seam of your pants, and you're standing straight with your back straight. Like, it's very detailed, right? When you go in that room for sale of the year, you go into a board, and there's a long table with like 5, 6, or even 7 chiefs or high-ranking officers or individuals. You knock on the door a certain way. You introduce yourself a certain way. The way you communicate, you make eye contact a certain way, right? And they ask you questions, and how your ability to articulate yourself. It will be a judgment if you're going in there to basically prove to them why you're more worthy or more badass than the people in the hallway, right? So in order to do that, you have to be really good at marketing. You have to be really good at sales. So I won Sale of the Year, and I started to make these realizations, especially when I found marketing and sales, that my whole time in the military, what I was doing is I was helping other sailors progress their careers in multiple forms. I was holding events, putting on projects, all kinds of stuff, helping them progress their careers. And then I was getting awards and I was being put up for Sale of the Year because I was leading them. Right? So you ever see somebody get an award and they're like, hey guys, I really got to thank my team, or like at the Grammys or something, or the Oscars, right? What does the actors
It's all
do?
about everyone else.
Yeah, they're like, thank you to my producer, thank you to my parents for always being there, thank you to this person, that person. They, unless you're Snoop Dogg, you take the credit. He's like, I got to thank me, he makes that joke. But yeah, it is the team, it's the individuals that bring you up, but also, because you are the one in that position, there has to be some type of ownership to receiving the award as well, because without your commitment, your hard work, you won't be there. But you always got to give credit to the team. So my whole career was all that. It was helping sailors excel in their career. I was recognized many times for it. And I just realized marketing and sales was the thing that I was doing the whole time. So that when I transitioned to digital marketing, it was kind of a seamless transition, to be honest, because now I was trying to convince business owners why they should give me money in order for me to help them get new customers, right? That was my sell. So for me, it was like a pretty seamless transition.
Yeah, interesting. So one thing that's kind of interesting about military veterans is it seems like there's some people who crush, and they're like, you see some superstars, rock stars come out of it. But seems like there's a really big gap.
Yeah.
Because, there's some people in the middle, but there's like, why are there some people who are amazing and other, who fade into poverty and have a lot of hardship?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any idea, like, what's separating that group?
Yeah, I think so, man. We were kind of talking about this at lunch, but I think, behind every great leader, there's a mentor. Right? Behind every great success, there is a mentor. There's either a person or a conglomerate of people behind them, right? Like, we're all built on the shoulders of giants. I like to remind people of that. Every single book that we might mention or author that we might mention, if you look further back enough, there's like another piece of literature basically saying the same thing, right? So I think the thing that separates like the successful veterans or even the successful people in corporate versus like the people that are not successful really is their leadership and the people that they're receiving information from. Like your counsel, like who are you getting information from? There has to be a drive and a want and a commitment there. Like you gotta want things more than what you have now, right? There's gotta be a place that you wanna be that you're not, and there has to be a drive and a focus and attention to go get that. But at the same time, there also needs to be the right people and the right counsel early on, especially when you're a child at 18, 19 years old, even 20, 21 years old, and you're really young and dumb and you do stupid things and you drink and drive and you go party, right? I think that a lot of us here, we don't have the right leadership in our lives to give us the information that we need. But there comes a point, where you become old and wise and you get enough scars. Going through life, you want to get scars, but you want to learn from them as fast as possible and then try to limit the amount of scars that you get through life, right? And unfortunately, some people learn the hard way and it's really hard to bounce back. Maybe they do something and land in jail for 12 years, right? Or maybe they do something, they stub their toe, or they lose a client, and they're like, crap, I can't do that again, right? You want to limit the scars, but I think the real successful people that you're finding, you look at who's behind them, is the people. Like my mentor, Dr. Jeff Spencer, we look at like, Lance Armstrong through 9 Tour de France's. Well, Dr. Jeff was in the trenches with him training through every single 9 of those Tour de France's, helping him stay focused and helping him recognize his human mind for survival versus his champion's mind, which is applied wisdom and focus on one of the 2 things that count, right? He was there with Tiger Woods through PGA championships, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Richard Branson. So after every single amazing person that's done something, there's somebody behind them, right? So, I mean, behind me is my team. Like I wouldn't be sitting here, have this huge operation, and I'm fortunate enough to have an amazing team back home taking care of the business, So it's the people around them, really.
Yeah. My mom had a quote. It's like, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And it's like, I can appreciate that, right? For her, that's like, that's a motivation for her. But I think if it's meant to be, it's up to the team.
Yeah.
Because I can only do so much. And, she's got a business, she's successful as an entrepreneur, but she's been a solopreneur, for 12, 15 years, she's been a one-man ship. But you've been able to build a team of, over 100 people, which is absurd. And dude, you're young, like 34, like you've still got a lot of life left in you. And so, how were you able to get so many awesome people to become a part of your team, and how do you manage this massive team?
Yeah, it's a good question. The one thing that I learned when I was in the military, it's if you want people to get shit done for you, they need to believe in what they're doing. So that starts with building a culture of success and having a mission and a vision that's so big that they couldn't fathom it themselves, right? So we are on a mission to help a million military veterans go from struggling to starting their business online, right? So to have that type of vision, it's going to take me probably 50 years to do it. And I'll probably, at heart, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I'm into multiple verticals. But that what I want to do for veterans specifically is going to take me probably, that's be like one of my main life's work, right? So when somebody hears that, they're just like, damn, So when I go to my meetings with my team and I'm talking about what I'm doing and what I'm building and who the people that I'm hanging out with, they're just like, damn, Doug's a leader, Doug's a man. Doug's out there making the connections and progressing our company to give us opportunities, right? Just last week or 12 days ago, I was hanging out at Grant Cardone's office, interviewing him, partnering up with him on some stuff that he's got going on. And as that relationship grows, when I have events, potentially can go to him and say, hey, Grant, I'm having this event. Would you like to come speak at it? There's going to be 1,000 military veterans there. Potentially, that could create a really good opportunity for him to come out, and then my team's there and they get to see him, learn from him, and meet him, right? So I think to answer your question, it really comes down to culture. What is the mission vision that's driving everything that everyone is doing? And do you have the right players? So like also what I've been able to do in my program, so I got my marketing agency, we work with clients, but then also have my coaching education company as well. And for that, basically almost all of the coaches or people that work with me over there have gone through my marketing curriculum. Like they paid money to learn how to do it themselves. They went and figured it out, they automated, they built their teams, they hired a CEO, and they essentially stepped away. They might be attending a couple calls a week. But now they're working with me as a higher level coach, for example, to educate and progress the education and value that we're bringing to our community, right? So a lot of people that work for me absorbed my information somehow, whether it be on my YouTube channel, through my Instagram, or they bought something from me. That's how they eventually found me. And then they fell in love with the message and the culture that I've built. Right? So when you're doing good in the world and people, and you're putting it out there and you're genuine about it, like people see that. It sees it, right? Like when you tell me like, dude, you're just a really good dude. I love hanging out with you. I was like, I feel that, but I'm not surprised because the one thing that I want to do is be my genuine true self all the time. You know, I just like to have fun, you know, and people appreciate that.
Urban's laughing because he's like, dude, Dylan's the same way.
So yeah, but you know, people see that authenticity, and you know, it's attractive because we're living in I think overall in a world and a culture where everything's so fake. You know, you got the gurus with pictures on the jet that's parked on the freaking tarmac, and you pay $500 to go in there and take a photo for 20 minutes. You know, like that shit exists. You know, so it's really hard to get through all that noise and all the trash that people put out. The best thing, you just be your genuine self and show up.
Yeah, I love the authenticity. That's huge for me. Is like being, like one of my top 4 core values is integrity. It's like being and saying, like living as what I say I am.
Yeah.
And I think I do. I feel that with you. And in a world where everyone's pretending to be someone they're not or live up to something, it's like it's refreshing to be around people where it's like, oh, this person's real.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, dude, you got a massive team. I've got a big team. I have a brick and mortar location. We have real stuff going on, and we're not overhyping it. We're living as is.
Yeah.
Whereas there's guys out there that are overhyping what they have to try to create this appearance. But the thing is, it's like sustainability. And so I think you're someone who's going to continue to not just sustain your success, but grow it. And I'm curious if you've seen like people come and go, right? There's people who drop off.
Yeah. I mean, in 8 years, dude, you see a lot of shit. You know, you see a lot of ads of people running ads. You don't see them anymore. You see crazy articles being posted online. And you're like, wow, I didn't realize he was into that, right? Yeah, I've certainly seen my fair share of people that have come and gone.
I think there's an evolution too of like the entrepreneur's journey, which is like we've talked about this, and you're moving into it, which is, hey, built a company, had success, and then like now it's like, okay, what's next, right? What's like the higher leverage, big impact way of living?
Yeah.
So I think some entrepreneurs move, like dude, Tai Lopez, like he's still crushing it, but he's doing it at a different level.
Right.
What do you see like the next decade of your life looking like? Hey, build success, have success, you're already impacting. What's next?
Yeah. Yeah, like what I was saying earlier, you know, we all get into something because it's an exit route or a segue to get out of what we're currently doing, right? So a lot of people get into maybe online marketing or a side hustle or something because something they're doing right now they're not satisfied with. So I did that because I didn't want to be in the Navy for 30 years. So I looked up online. I eventually got into marketing, got my agency going, right? Love working with clients, and I started the coaching company, right? I'm just kind of giving you the journey progression here. Started the agency working with clients, and then I literally had master chiefs, people that were in the Navy for 25, 26 years, that are in their mid-40s coming up to me saying, you know, hey, HM1, which was my rank.
What does that mean?
Hospital Corpsman First Class. So basically, Hospital Corpsman's the name of my job title, and then First Class means Petty Officer First Class, which is an E6. So the pay structure goes from like E1 to E9 across the military, but in each branch, that's active duty, each branch has their own name of what like an E6 is or an E5. So Marine Corps might be Staff Sergeant or Tech Sergeant for the Air Force, right? I was a Petty Officer First Class, which is an E6 for the Navy. So that's your pay, and then my job is corpsman, right? So 2 different things. But he came up to me, he's like, HM1, I'm getting out of the military next month. I'm 45, I've been in the Navy 26 years. I don't want to go sit in a classroom full of 19-year-olds. You know, how are you making this money online? I'm willing to pay you for what you know. So as soon as he said that, I was like, light bulb, this person's willing to pay me for what I know, for education. So I had multiple people come up to me in some way, shape, or form via DM, email, or calling me, or walking up to me in the hospital. And I was just like, I need to figure how to get my time back because these people want something. So that's when I was like, I'm just gonna shoot videos and put it in Dropbox. So I made probably the shittiest course on Dropbox 8 years ago. It was like 10 videos and I charged $900 for it. And when you know it, people started landing clients and making money, and they were like telling me about it. I was like, oh shoot, we should get on like a video call and like talk about that, right? Like I should probably document this, you know, because that's what I was doing for my when you do service based work, agency work. Like if a client lands $100,000 patient or something like that, you want to get them on video for testimonial. So I started getting on testimonial videos with these students, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm a teacher, these are students, right? Like it was a weird transition back then for me. But yeah, that's what I started to do, and that's how we built this coaching education company basically to now what it is, which we offer multiple levels of stuff, you know. So but yeah, so what I'm doing now is, you know, I love coaching, I love teaching. I think I will always do that in some sort, but I love being a student more than anything. I try not to claim the expert tag. I feel like as soon as you call yourself an expert on something, you immediately shut yourself off from being a student. I always want to learn and grow, right? I can be really good and masterful at things, but I don't want to stop getting into verticals, learning about real estate and crypto and the economy and how money works and all these other things. So now what I'm doing is I'm letting my team run my agency, run my education company. And now I'm starting to look at, you know, what are things going on in the world right now where I can catch them early enough, invest in them, and then ride that asymmetry to the upside. So, like I just acquired part of my buddy's company that is a crypto publishing company that's working with authors like Joe Polish and many others that we can't announce quite yet. But this technology of blockchain and crypto and Web3 is going to be a massive part of our future because our financial system is basically fucked, right? If you look at it, if you understand anything that's going on, blockchain will probably take over the banking system at some point, and you're already starting to see it. You know, why Goldman Sachs literally just announced that they're acquiring crypto the other day. You know, you got Nike, Starbucks, and Disney partnering with Polygon to create NFTs and crypto opportunities for their customers and clients, right? Why are these massive multi-billion-dollar companies getting into crypto? Well, it tells you something. So you follow the smart money, it tells you something. So I think blockchain crypto, that's something that I'm heavily involved in, invested in. Also, we look at what's going on with AI, you know, and augmented reality and the metaverse and all these things, right? So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at all these different technologies and these verticals, looking for teams that are building, that's doing amazing work in the world. I'm not looking at the prices of their coin or their stock or any of that, because the stock or the token price is not a reflection of what the actual fundamentals are, right? The market's just going to do market stuff.
It's supposed to be, but it's not right now.
Yeah.
Right? Ideally, the best way for you to be able to value, like, hey, which platform is doing the best? But like Bitcoin, like, what are they innovating, right? They're just right now, like, you know, the platform people are most comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But crypto's in a weird spot. Like crypto definitely, like right now with like the FTX just happened.
Yeah.
You know, and Kevin O'Leary recently just started going after and saying, hey, Binance, you're actually the ones at fault. FTX is innocent in this. And it's funny. It's a funny place to be at. But how do you think that impacts you? Like, are you more bullish now? Like, you're awesome, I'm getting things at a discount. Or are you like, I'm going to be hesitant. I'm going to sit back and wait for things to unfold?
I'm probably the bullish person that you'll talk to when it comes to crypto and blockchain, dude, just because, like I said, all these billion-dollar companies are getting in the bear market. They know what's coming next. There's a correction in the market. If you look at the economy over a 100-year cycle, you see these waves go like this, but they always trend up. They're always trending up, right? So right now, crypto adoption is moving faster than the internet of 1999. You know, so more people are jumping on the bandwagon faster than before, right? So I think right now, I'm more bullish than ever. I'm not worried about what's going on but the market's just going to do market stuff. But I think now's the time to focus on building communities in the crypto space, focus on teams that are building and doing good in the world, and not necessarily, obviously we all have a selfish agenda, like we all want to make money because there's things that we want in life to progress. But if you're investing, you know, now's the time to build and look for the opportunities because they're there and they're a lot cheaper than normal. And I think the catalyst that's really going to make crypto grow from a financial perspective to go from sub $1 trillion to maybe 10 or more trillion dollars is regulation, right? You need regulation. Like institutions like BlackRock and all these big money, for them to fully go all in and start to distribute 10, 20, 30% of their holdings into crypto, they're going to need regulation, right? Because they don't want to get screwed over, right? So I think a lot of the things that have happened, with FTX and all this stuff, like my buddy Nick talks about, when you invent planes, unfortunately, you invent plane crashes, right? So right now, crypto and all these coins have been invented, and crashes have been invented as well because there's a lot of selfish, greedy people involved, and there's no regulation to kind of give people parameters on how to do this stuff the right way and grow it the right way. So I think as time goes on, I think all these fake people, just like in the online guru space, there's all these fake people that are scamming or whatever they're doing. You got the same imposters in the crypto space, and I think they're all getting washed out now. So now the real projects, the people that are doing really good in the world, now is their opportunity to continue to build, stick together, and when this market recovers, they're going to see that asymmetric side, I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it. I think regulation is obviously important because, like, things aren't like the stuff that happened right now with people losing. Like, I have a friend that lost $1 million worth of crypto.
Yeah.
Like, not, hey, it went from $1 million down to like 100K. Like, no, like he had that much in the platform locked out. Now they're bankrupt.
Yeah.
So, regulation is going to allow people to feel more secure about moving into it and probably prevent stuff like that from happening.
Yeah.
But regulation also prevents creativity.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to money, I believe in capitalism. I think that look at the country in the world that has been able to produce the most for the world over the longest period of time in our recent history is what country is that? United States.
Yeah.
Why? Because we have a free market. I moved here from Canada. In Canada, there's a lot of restrictions, red tape, like government loopholes you have to go through. So and then like you look at countries like Singapore, they open up, they make it like super business friendly, and the country thrives. So I am concerned a little bit. Do you see that regulation maybe might prevent adoption or create creative ways for the blockchain and Web3 to be utilized?
I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. Like, for example, just the institutions are going to need that to come in. Like, if we look at gold is a $12 trillion market cap. If 10% of that, or if all that goes into Bitcoin, now basically we go from sub 1 trillion to north of 12 trillion. So that means we're going to have like a 10x on the entire cryptocurrency market, right? So I don't think that there's going to be any prevention. It's just going to give countries and institutions and general adoption for people the security to know, hey, I can put my money into this thing, and I don't necessarily need to worry about an SBF situation happening and it's going to zero, right? So yeah, the blockchain is going to, like, for example, like if I wanted to send you, $100,000, right? Let's say you're in Canada and I'm in Miami, I freaking can send you $100,000 in Bitcoin and it's there in 30 seconds on blockchain. Where at the bank, I had to wire like a bunch of money the other day. I was buying a part of my buddy's company, and it took like 5 days. They had to go back and forth. I had to fill out this paperwork. Hey, are you money laundering? Like, ask me all these questions. I'm like, what the fuck? I made this money. Like, let me send it. I'm making a business investment. Like, so it's going to solve so much of those problems. And yeah, we need regulators, honest regulators, that care about the space to come in and give people the parameters they need to take advantage of the technology.
Do you think that SBF should go to jail?
It's a tough question, man. So we kind of had
no comment is also an answer.
I mean, the only thing I'll say is there's obviously potentially a lot of shady stuff that's going on, that can be going on, like in our government. Who knows what's going on, right? There's always like a front man, and there's always like the people behind, like it's always the people behind them, right? Yeah. So we're seeing SBF, that's what the public sees. We see this guy, like F this guy, he's the one that did it. But what we don't see is the unnamed names that's behind him, right? So behind every great successful person, there's a team of people behind them. But behind every person that has done something effed up, there's people behind them as well. So should he be in jail? Yeah, there's obvious black and white laws that he probably, overstepped boundaries. Probably should definitely own up to that. But is he the real reason, or is he the front man? That's up for negotiation.
Yeah, good observation.
Yeah.
I want to pivot here in the last little bit of this conversation we're having and talk about you. So interesting thing, like you claim you were fat. I'd love to see a photo of that when you were a kid, but
Yeah, you want me to pull it up? I got
sure,
my
let's
phone
see
right
it.
here,
Let's
dude.
see it.
It'll probably take me a minute to dig.
But dude, one thing you do is like you're very cognizant of like what you put in your body, how you treat your body. Your travel plans coming out here, like the first thing was like, hey, like you planned it around your workout.
Yeah.
And then your food. So, do you have other biohacking or like health regimens you go through? And how do you maintain peak performance?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. I'll just say this to start off. Like, if I don't feel good physically, I don't feel like I'm gonna produce a quality product for anyone else. For this podcast, for my clients, my customers, my team, my family, no one. So my number one priority, like every single day, is when or where can I get some physical activity in. I love to lift weights, right? Where can I do that?
We can tell, don't worry. We can tell.
Yeah, when and where can I do that? And where I'm going, is there a Postmates, or is there a place that I can make sure I'm getting enough protein and lean meat and greens so that I can have a good recovery, and not eat crap? Because a few years back when I first started out doing this and traveling and going to events and conferences, you just kind of go with the flow. Like, you don't think about it. Yeah, there's a gym or whatever, like, or we're just gonna go out with the homies and have drinks. Like, we had some drinks last night. It was a good time. I don't get to see, so I'm glad we did that. So I'm not holding that.
Oh, dude, we didn't eat that bad. Think about it. Like, we had some salads, a little bit of steak, like.
Some Wagyu.
Some
Wagyu for the first time, by the way.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
My Wagyu V card.
Yeah, I'm glad I popped that cherry for you. But yeah, dude, that's like my number one focus, everything. And at this point, I'm on a plane 2 to 4 times a month, right? So, I'm not flying private with chefs or with me or anything crazy like that, because it's honestly, I think, a waste of time and money. I think that you can travel and find where the gym's at, coordinate your travel around it, and find where the food's at. And if you do need to call in like someone to prepare food, call that stuff in. You just need to make it a lifestyle change, right? And for me, like, that's the biggest thing, the gym, the food, 100% all the time. The other thing too is like, sleep is like the biggest thing, make it priority. Like, I didn't smoke cigars with you last night because I wanted to sleep and be refreshed for today. And I'm flying today, right? I kind of wish I did, though, because we don't get to see each other that much. But yeah, man, that's like the biggest things for me, and drinking enough water. The basic stuff that most people, I don't like wear the red glasses. I don't drink the bulletproof coffee all the time, even though you had some in your fridge, and that's what I'm drinking right now. Like, it's just, when can I get to the gym, and where, and when and where can I?
So you don't have a secret pill. You don't have a limitless pill.
Yeah, if you're looking for that, I don't have it, bro. I really don't. That's it. Food and nutrition. There's really no way to cut it out. Yes, you can take, like, I was asking you at your house earlier, hey bro, you have any L-carnitine? Because I didn't bring mine, because it's like a liquid glass bottle and I'm traveling. I don't want that to break in my luggage. But like, I'll take that because it helps metabolize fat a lot faster and better and more efficiently when you're in the gym. So you can actually get quicker results by taking that, right? I'll do little hacks like that with over-the-counter supplements. I don't take creatine. I feel like I get bloated and puffy and stuff. Just drink a lot of water, man, and that's it. No crazy pill.
So what percentage of success, physical, like literally like success in health, but also like success in money and business is physical, real, and what percent is mental in your mind?
Yeah, I probably think it's all mental, right? And so for me to make it physical fitness a priority in food, I have to be mentally committed to that, right?
So, but a little bit, like, cause or can I sit here right now, lift weights in my mind, and then I'll look like you?
No, you have to convince yourself to get off your ass and get to the gym. You have to tell yourself, and you have to put your schedule and your team around that. And if you're in a situation where you're married, or if you have a significant other, like, they need to know like what your goals and aspirations are too. Because if they just want to like Netflix and chill all day and like have wine at night, and if that doesn't align with your personal fitness goals to show up for her or him and your team, then you need to check that and have that conversation, right? So there's just a lot of things that need to be considered when you're looking at your priorities. Like relationships is a huge one. I text you, I was like, hey, what's the gym situation? Like, are we gonna go? Because I'll cancel my flight, lose a little bit of money, and book it later if I don't think I'm gonna go to the gym at your house. So I'll just go here in San Diego, right? So I'm willing to do that because that's how important in the fee, to rebook, I'm willing to pay that because that's how important it is to me.
Yeah, that's cool. So anything else we haven't talked about you think is important or you wanted to run through on the?
I don't know, man. This is your show, bro. We can talk about whatever you want. This has been a great conversation, just to chop it up with you and talk a little bit of business. The one thing I don't think we got into is probably like what I'm working on after all this coaching stuff.
Yeah, so what is that?
We kind of talked about crypto and AI, right? But I think I'm going to make a big push for this, but I want to build a $1 billion company, and it's going to be working with other marketers or info product owners or coaches that are in the space that's similar to myself that just don't know how to scale. So they might be, sub 200 grand, 100 grand, and they just don't know the ad creatives.
Like a year or per month?
Per month.
So someone who's around like 100, 200K a month.
Yeah, or less. Maybe they're at 50 per month. Maybe they're less than 7 million a year, but they have something. The point of saying that is like they have something, they're driven, they have a good product, right? They're changing people's lives. There's actual testimonials to prove that they're making an impact, but they just don't know how to scale that offer from marketing and sales. So basically I have now the full infrastructure to take on the marketing, the ads, the creatives, even the sales and appointment setting and all of the technology that goes around that, to be able to bring on someone that's in that space and scale them up to $1 million, $2 million, or even $3 million a month. So when I say I want to build a $1 billion company, in the first 2 years, we're going to onboard probably 10 of these guys or girls with these products. It might be in real estate wholesale flipping or something like that, where it's info product, and bring on 10 in 2 years, get them up to $1 to $2 million a month, and then by year 3, we want to be doing about $330 million a year. That's $24 million a month between 10 products. Show that consistent revenue over 3 years, and then hopefully get a $1 billion or more valuation and sell that asset. So that's my big thing, because I've seen so many. The big reason, obviously, that's the goal of doing it, but the big reason why I see a need in that is because I've seen so many people, like we were talking about, come and go over the last 8 years. So people don't know how to market in the right way, honestly, ethically, and how to scale that, right? And I've gone through all the ringers, and I've seen the failures, and I've seen the successes, and we've kind of figured out that blueprint. So I just want to work with people that have really good stuff that's doing good in the world, that are actually changing people's lives, and help them scale and get their message out. So that's what we're going to be doing with this publishing company.
Cool. Are you looking for people to get connected with that, or you kind of like are going to handpick people that you see out there that are good fits for the program? Yeah,
so me and my partner are actually going to probably put together a room of probably 100 of them. We're going to invite them out, see how we're doing. At this point, about 30 million a year, and just in my coaching offer, break it down for them, in black and white over a couple days, maybe 2 or 3 days, and just have 100 people in the room. And if half of them raise their hand and they fill in an application, great. But we're only going to be working with 10, so that's kind of how we want to pick and choose who we want to work with. So if we figure if we can get 100 or so people in a room, we'll do a live event. They'll get a bunch of value, so they can leave that and go implement it. But if they just want to work with us, then great, they'll apply, and then we'll pick and choose who we want to work with from there. But I kind of already have like some prospects, so I got my eye out. I've kind of told a few people, so there's a ton of opportunity, man. There's a lot of people doing amazing, great things. They just don't know how to scale the right way, so that's what we're gonna do.
Cool, man. I love it. We have a thing I do here. So to wrap up, my previous guest wrote a little question for you, and you're gonna leave a question for the next guest too.
Okay.
So I actually don't know what the question is. My first time reading it, so I'm gonna read it to you, whatever the question is, and you'll answer it, and then we'll wrap up. So.
Okay, sounds good. That's cool.
All right. So what's the most memorable gift you ever received?
Oh man, the most memorable gift I've ever received. That's really cute, by the way. I like that. You want to know something funny? I'm a gift giver. I give people a lot of gifts, and actually, I don't expect gifts in return. You know, so I can actually count probably on two hands the times that I got something and it was like really memorable. I'll say this because there's nothing coming to mind where I was like, damn, that was really awesome or thoughtful. People have definitely done stuff for me, but the gift that I think I was able to receive was the gift of me giving something else and seeing their reaction. And I got a gift back, right? So when I was leaving I just left for the boot camp and I left for the military. I came back for Christmas that first year. So June 8th, 2011, I left for boot camp. So I came back for Christmas. And obviously, I started getting paid, but I didn't have any money, really, to afford like gifts, even just 6 months in the military. So I didn't really have much money. So what I did was I went to Hallmark and bought a bunch of cards. And I bought one for like my uncles, my parents, my grandparents, my sister, my close family. And I wrote down basically what they meant to me in great detail, like how much I love them and what they meant to me and the significant impacts that they made on my life up until that point for me joining the Navy, right? And at Christmas, I had each one of my family members open my gift, or it was a card, right? There was no money in it, there was no big present. It's a card, and I just watched each one of them open it up and read it. And yeah, man, you can imagine the amount of impact and trust and rapport connection that I made with my family that day, you know, because I communicated to them how important they were to me, and it was just so well received. So they gave me the gift of love and connection and support, which was probably the biggest thing that I needed as a troubled kid coming from a small town in Louisiana. With no money and no skills, right? I needed love, I needed support because I went and served my country for 10 years and seen crazy shit, right? So I think without that love and support that I got from them after I was the bigger person that stepped up and made the connection and kind of made that happen, I think that was probably the biggest thing everyone's ever given me is just that love and support. And I think, you know, sometimes in life, that's all you have to give. You know, a lot of people don't have a lot of money, but I think the one thing that you do have and your ability is just to be kind and just give love and give grace. So, yeah,
I see that in you too. Mm-hmm. Like you do give that, and you can feel that too. Just even being in a room with you, like you can feel that love. Mm-hmm. Like that's there. So, yeah. I actually like that wasn't like intended to go with this, but actually I have a gift for you. It was a little Christmas present. So. I got it in the back. Once we wrap up, I'll give it to you.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Cool,
I actually bought it a while ago with the intention to give to you, hoping that it would become rare and go up in value. And I bought the wrong one. The other one that was sold at the same time has gone up like 10x in value, but this one stayed the same. But I'll still give it to you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, bro.
Yeah. But cool. Thanks for being here, dude. Oh, connect with you. How can people?
Oh yeah. So if you want to connect with me. Just go to Instagram, Douglas James @_Douglas James. My website is thedouglasjames.com, right? I didn't mention this, but I am having a military veteran event in March of 2023. There's probably going to be 300 plus people there. Robert Kiyosaki is going to speak. Jason Redman, he's a Navy SEAL that survived like 7 gunshot wounds to the face. He's going to be there speaking. So a lot of amazing speakers. So if you guys do know anyone that's in the military or a veteran that wants to come learn about business, financial literacy, leadership, the events, they can go to militarywealthsummit.com. That's militarywealthsummit.com. Pick up tickets, only $97 for the general admission. Love to help the community out as much as possible for any veterans that are out there.
Dude, love it. Thanks, man.
Yep.